hello. Welcome to another episode of Notorious Momz, the podcast. I am here with my guest. Introduce yourself, guest.
I am Jay Christian of the Cognac Room podcast, which is an uninhibited drink infused podcast about adulting and male and female interactions.
Where'd you come up with the cognac room with the name? I think it's
Oh,
interesting.
so I had a room in my house that I referred to as the Cognac Room because it was like it had the burnt orange walls and the what do you call it? The cognac colored couches and stuff and a
Uh-huh.
bar in there. And so that was like where we would go and drink and kick it and chill. So I used to say, "Hey, meet me in the Cognac Room" or whatever. So when I came up with the podcast, it was a no brainer.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
that's good. All right. So the cognac room, that's a dope name. I had
thank you.
issues coming up with my name. It was just like, when I started my podcast and stuff, it was so many different names and I was trying to be as different as possible. But here we are, Notorious Moms in the cognac room.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. So let's just dive right in. So I saw the other day that you post because I follow you on Instagram, and I
Mhm.
saw that you posted that you're a therapist. Correct me, please.
No, I'm a dating and relationship coach. Yeah,
Okay. And what does that
coach.
entail?
Sorry. Okay, so basically, I help people find out what it is that they really want, and I help them to develop a plan to get it based on their own skills and desires, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
So
So
I'm
do
not a
you
therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't give advice. I ask questions and I
uh
help you get clear,
so it's basically getting clarity.
getting clarity and coming up with a mode of action, like what direction you want to go in to achieve this thing that you want in your life.
So let me just ask you a quick question about that because now I'm interested. So, what's the most thing that you feel like you talk about when you're like interacting with people and like what's the most frequent thing that often comes up?
The most frequent thing that often comes up is honestly, I don't like it's why do I keep attracting these type of people? Why do I keep repeating this cycle? That's the most common thing that I've heard and that I've gotten is that a lot of people are definitely like just reliving the same experiences with different people.
Shit, I ask myself all the time that same question.
Yeah. So one of the things that we have to look at, right? Like people say, I only attract assholes. Do you only attract assholes or are you only attracted to assholes? You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because there's been guys who've come to you who weren't assholes, but you rejected them. You didn't want them. It was something about them that didn't appeal to you. There's something about the asshole that appeals to you.
That is interesting. So now we're talking about another thing because now I want to pick your brain. Now I want to pick your brain because you know that is I never really asked myself that other question because what I would ask myself as far as like me and like relationships is like exactly that same thing. Like, why am I attracting the same kind of person? But you are actually really right because when you meet somebody, like for me, there has to be like an instant spark. I'm sure you've heard of that before.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, like, you don't get the spark with the person that's not an asshole. You get the spark with the person that is an asshole.
Yes.
But it's just like, why? Like, why is that?
That is the $1 million question. Like, I think some of that stuff goes back possibly to our childhoods. Um, Something that we were talking about on our most recent episode that I did with another team of podcasters. It could go back to attachment theory, where you
Mm,
talk about attachment types and being insecure, so many different things. You know, for some
attach.
people, it's just a status thing or a financial thing. Like it could
Right.
be anything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Attachment theory. I got to look into that more. Um, because you're making sense. And I am glad we gonna talk. offline because I'm glad I
Okay.
have you. I'm glad I have you on my show now.
Cool.
But anyway, what I really wanted to talk about now that I picked your brain a little bit is like the double standards between men and women. So one thing that I was actually reading the other day is that they did like a study, and men are still making more money than women.
Hmm.
So while in 2020 they did the study, women were making 82 cents, men are still making $1. So even though it's a few cents more,
Yeah.
women are still making less, having the same experience, same education,
Sometimes more.
right? Sometimes more.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is? Hit me
uh
with it. Hit me with it.
I think that a lot of it probably, I mean, and my answer is going to be pretty simple, honestly.
Of course.
I think it's just a matter of culture, just the way that it's been, and the way that the powers that be, or the companies or whoever, that's
Right.
just how they want to try to keep it. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think it's that way in all communities, though.
Okay.
So when you look at where these statistics are coming from, are they coming from the Latino community, the Black community, the white community, or some other community? We don't like they don't tell us that. We can assume, right?
Right.
I feel like a lot of times right now in the Black community, when you look at the disparity in numbers, it's probably the other way around for obvious reasons.
Right.
But yeah,
So yeah, I feel like corporate America is more, when you talk about like, big corporations. And I feel like that because I feel like it's more male dominated.
yeah,
And,
exactly.
males are supposed to be strong, more powerful. Um, they talk about us as being emotional and dramatic.
Absolutely.
So I think that that has a lot to do with it as well,
Yeah,
which I think is really
exactly.
shitty. Um,
It is, but it kind of goes back to that's the way it's always been, and that's the way we're gonna try to keep it.
right.
That's because if you give the women power, then how could you take advantage of them and sleep with them in the boardrooms and shit?
Yeah. That's a whole that's a whole motherfucking fact. Because once you give a woman power, that's it. In the eyes of certain men, I'm not even gonna say all men, because
Exactly.
I don't want to generalize, but that is the thing. So, got your opinion on that. Now, what about sex and relationships? So, how I've always like grown up and seen it, it's like, when you're dating and if you're having sex with multiple men, you a hoe. If you
Yeah.
do certain things in the bedroom, you freaky, you a slut, you getting smutted out.
Hmm.
It's not the same for men. And why do you think
It's
that
not.
is?
I think it's because culturally it has been a man's desire to tame a woman, control a woman, to keep a woman. So men are very insecure, believe it or not. Go figure. And that's just my personal opinion. A lot of men, I won't say all men,
Right.
because that's, so there are a group of men in the world who are insecure. And it's not limited to race, color, creed, any of that stuff. It's just there are some insecure people here. So when you have men who are insecure, they will try to find ways to control a situation, manipulate a situation, and to make people feel as though it's wrong to do certain things. Also, we have to look at how our culture was founded, the belief systems that were instilled,
Mhm.
Christianity being one. I'm not against Christianity. I believe in Christianity personally, but the Bible strictly talks about whores and harlots and fornication.
Right.
It talks about it for men too, but there you go with the double standard. And then there's the concept that, well, if a woman is out whoring, she can get pregnant. If a woman is out whoring, she's the receiver. So somebody's putting something in her. Men aren't really receiving anything. We're like the givers or the transmitters or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So it has always been painted as being something degrading or nasty to let different people deposit something inside of a woman, inside of you. So there are many different reasons for that. Many different reasons for that. We could probably talk about that one all night, honestly.
Right.
But yeah, so it's the same reason why A guy can go around a building and take a leak, but a woman can't do it because women were held to a higher standard, even when it comes to cheating and certain things like that. I myself have said it several times on my podcast. We hold women to a higher standard. We expect more of you because women are supposed to be more disciplined and more chaste and more, So culturally, a lot of that's been passed down to us. It's been embedded in us, and we're holding on to that.
Well, I love your point of view. I think it's fucked up though in a lot of ways. But that's just me. I'm not men bashing by no means because I know a lot of men listen to my shit, but I had a conversation with someone about this very same thing, and what this guy told me is that men were like they're supposed to be spreading their seeds. You know,
Yeah.
they were here to procreate and bring life. And that's why, they're able to just run free and do the shit that they do.
Okay. So I get that theory and I understand that. But once again, I know for me, I was taught inadvertently that that's what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
My examples did it, like friends, uncles, cousins, you know. Uh, it was like, man, you don't fall in love with the first girl you get with. You gotta like try them out. You gotta get some experience under your belt. And the example I had was like the older guys literally would have sex with a girl and then dump them. And I'm like 11, 12 years old. And I'm like, why would you dump her when you could just keep having sex with her? Like, I don't get it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Because honestly, it doesn't really make that much sense. But in a way, I have to say that I agree with that though.
With what? Screw
So
him and
I
dump him?
do no, not the screwing and dumping part, but I do believe that people should have different experiences.
I agree
You know
with
what
that
I
too.
mean?
Yeah,
Like, but there needs to be a really big sense of transparency as well. Like,
exactly.
I'm out here dating. I'm not into anything, I don't want anything serious. I'm just doing my thing. Casual dating, as I would call it.
Hmm.
Um, and I have a son. My son is 17. And I tell him the same thing. I'm like, listen, you are a young man. You're gonna be going to college. You're gonna have experiences. Don't marry the first girl that you meet. Not saying that that's a bad thing because a lot of people do have those same experiences. They go to college, they meet someone, and then eventually they get married. But you have to experience certain things because then you won't know what you like sexually or while you're dating or anything of the sort.
Exactly. And that's what my mother taught me. Well, told me growing up. I didn't listen. Like, I think, I was like 15 in like a serious relationship, had been together for years and all of this crazy stuff. Yeah. But
Wow.
then I was like cheating on her and we were fighting every weekend and it was foolish, but I had to go through that. Um, so yeah, I definitely agree that, especially at the younger ages and stages of life, you should definitely not be committing to anybody. You should just be dating different people. I mean, truthfully, in my opinion, sex shouldn't even be on the table at that stage of life.
I agree.
But I mean, we
It
live
is
in the
what it
times
is.
we live in. Yeah.
Right. For sure. Yes, you know, sex in teenage years is not something that I would recommend because you don't know
Nah.
shit.
Exactly.
And not to say that, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? You won't know unless you experience it, but you shouldn't be experiencing it
Not
at
that
that age,
early
not that
because
early.
you're not mature enough. You're not mentally or emotionally strong enough to handle it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I like that. Y'all listen to this man right here. He dropping gems. He dropping gems on Notorious Moms. I like you, Jay.
Well, thank you. I like you too.
So let's talk about the cheating part too,
Hmm.
because you have mentioned that.
Hmm.
So when it comes to women in cheating and men in cheating, there also is a double standard, a
Yes.
very large one.
Yes.
I feel like, and this is just my opinion, I feel like women cheat, men cheat too, but when women do it, it's like unforgivable. It's like
Definitely hard to forgive.
men cannot fathom, they cannot deal with the fact that they have a woman and the woman cheated with someone else.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think that is?
Okay. Let me start with speaking for myself. For me, I know that when I have sex with someone, a woman, no. Let me rephrase. I know that I am capable of having meaningless sex with someone,
Okay.
right? Not to say that women are not capable of that, but it's not been the norm up until a certain point. So it's usually women make you wait until they're connected to you in a way that makes them want to give you their body. So when a woman that's with me gives their body to someone else, in my mind, that tells me that she's connected to him in a way that's the same way or even in a stronger way than she connected with me. And maybe she prefers him over me if she was willing to jeopardize what we had. So it just sends off this whole big thing because it's like, once again, women, okay, like a guy, he can go without sex, be tempted, he gonna break. Women seem, from my experience and what I've known coming up, women were more capable of being in a tempting situation and withholding sex still.
Right. Right.
So when a woman tells you or you find out that your woman broke and gave somebody some, that's like, oh my God, like that's the ultimate, and it bruises your ego. And so once sometimes there's no coming back from that for men. Sometimes.
Yeah, you mentioned the ego. I think that that's the biggest thing too. Is like your ego. Men have really big ego. Don't get me wrong. Women have big egos too
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah.
A lot of us, we walk around, and I say us. Let me not say a lot of us. Some of us, I'm including myself. Sometimes, we get in certain positions and we walk around with this chip on our shoulder, like, so we have egos as well.
Yes.
But I think a man's ego so overpowers us. And I feel like
Yeah.
men are less forgiving.
And our egos, believe it or not, are very fragile. They're
Mm,
big, but they're fragile.
interesting. Why do you say that a man's ego is fragile?
Because I know a plethora of men, right? And I've seen it. I've heard it, locker room conversations, and I've experienced it, So here's the thing. If you think that you are the greatest gift, I'm not saying that men think that, but I'm just using
Right,
this as an example. If you think that you are the big dog, your ego is here, you know what I'm saying, and you have this inflated opinion of yourself, and you
right,
think very highly of yourself, and the world bends to your will, so to speak,
right,
and then something that's supposed to be yours, let's use that for an example,
right.
does something unexpected, like it's gonna affect you. It's gonna affect you. The bigger the ego, you know what I'm saying, the harder the
Mhm.
fall.
Right.
so yeah, women have egos as well, and women have big egos, and women have experienced a lot of pain and a lot of hurt and embarrassment because it's embarrassing when women, you got me out here looking stupid, that sort of thing,
Right.
right? But women have been able to pull those pieces together, pull themselves up by the bootstraps and love again. Whereas some men say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just done. I'm going to be a whore for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like that does happen sometimes.
But that is a very real feeling too. Because speaking from my experience, I've been cheated on, I've cheated, and this was in my younger days. But
Shame
when
on
I hey, I ain't even gonna lie. There's been some times in my life.
you.
I wasn't always a saint. I'm really not now either, but
Not now.
not
Okay.
now either. But
Yeah.
um, I didn't realize the effect that it had, like, when you cheat on someone until I got into my older dating age. And it's like, I dealt with someone that, I was in a relationship with and I cheated on him. And I thought like, okay, we just gonna get back right. And that just didn't happen.
It's hard.
He was
It's
like,
hard.
I just can't forgive you. And I was like,
And
well,
so there are some men who can. Like, okay, I'll give an example from my own life. I remember I had this one chick. She cheated on me at least 3 times, and I took her back. You know what I'm saying? But I cheated on her like 10 times, and she took me back. So I think, in a
Right.
sense, it was almost like that thing of like, man, you've done her way worse. You took her back. But then there was also that thing of, I got to stick around because I don't really want nobody else to have her. You know what I mean? I didn't
Right.
really want to see her with someone else. Um, which was, when I look
That's
back at it,
that's
was
that
stupid.
greed.
It was
That's
dumb.
that
Yeah.
greed.
Yeah.
It's like I wanna, I kind of wanna, I don't wanna, but I don't want nobody else to have her.
Yeah. And for me, it was mostly sexual
Mm,
in that particular situation. It was mostly sexual. And I was just like, yeah, I don't want to lose that.
right.
And, you know,
Because
I,
that's a
I don't
thing
know. It
too.
was,
Men, they get that good, and they
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they like, listen, I don't give a fuck what you do, but you got to bring your ass home
Yeah.
because I want that.
Yeah. And you can't be out here giving, like, listen, man. Oh my God. I think I caught this girl with a guy at her house one night. And like
Oh,
2 days later, we were back at it.
oh
Like
God.
that, like that's insane now when I think back on
Yes, when you think, yes, I'm gonna
it.
let, yeah, that was
Yeah.
Jay. You ain't
Yeah.
have to go out like that, Jay. You ain't have to.
Listen, if I can speak about
No
the
judgment though.
the
No
no
judgment. I ain't
judgment at all.
judging.
But if I can speak about my wins and my triumphs, I have to speak about my failures and my falls. You know what I mean? So, because I think that a lot of times people don't realize it's okay to be human. It happens. And when it happens, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be the end. It doesn't have to be some big secret that you hide. And you got to vocalize that shit. You got to deal with it, process it, grow from it,
Right,
and then hopefully use it to help others.
right. Yeah, I think that the cheating thing is mostly like the violation of the trust. Once that gets broken, and I use this example often, it's like, you take a paper, you crumble it up, you can uncrumble it, but those creases are always going to be there. The paper's not going to go back to how it was before you crumbled it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, when that happens, it's like, all right, the trust is really violated. And I know for men, trust and like loyalty, that's like a really, really big thing,
It is.
and you violate a man's trust and you in the shit.
Yeah.
You in the
But
shithole.
make no mistake about it. With some men, I won't even say a lot of men. With some men, cheating is cool until it happens to you.
Mm,
That was me. Cheating was cool until it happened to me. And then it was like, shit. And like you said, once the creases are there, you can't remove them. That's why some men just leave because they already know, like, I can't deal with the creases. But
right.
then some of us are like, man, maybe if we love them enough, we can iron the creases out. You know what I mean? And, I don't know. I do believe that there is hope for relationships where cheating has happened and that you can come back and be even stronger than you were before, but it requires a lot of work and it's an uphill battle.
Right. And I think that in that sense, women, like you said, women are much better at, I wouldn't say we're much better at healing from it, but like you said, we're much better at just like picking up the pieces and moving on. Cause I feel like us as women, we deal with a lot of other stuff besides that when it comes to men. Most of us, like some of us, there's other things that we deal with: the cheating, the lying, domestic issues, baby mama drama. And these are all things that happen like in our daily lives. So it's like, oh, you know what? He cheated on me. Let me just fucking move on. Some women really can't though.
Right.
That's a thing too.
Yeah.
They can't put the pieces together because there's some
Oh,
women that also won't
yeah.
tolerate that too. They're like, oh no,
Exactly.
you cheat on me once. Because usually if you cheat on somebody one time, you're probably gonna do it again.
Yeah. Because believe it or not, when you take them back and you try to work through it, you reinforce the fact that I ain't going nowhere. I mean, I'm just being honest. Like for me, that was when that happened. It's like shit. She took me back, so I'm gonna be slicker this time, and maybe she won't catch me. But maybe if she does, she probably still won't go nowhere because after all, she loved me. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Yeah, seriously.
That is very true. But sometimes love ain't enough. I got to tell you. But I also think that a lot of it has to do with like when you get comfortable with a person as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know that this is the kind of shit that they do. And it's like, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
He gonna be out fucking whoever, but you know he always gonna come home.
Yeah.
And it's like, so let me ask you, why do you think women deal with that kind of behavior?
Because okay, I'll use once again an example from my life. I like to do that. That way,
Love it.
nobody can actually like try to dispute me on it in the sense of like, well,
Right, because it's
you
your
saying
shit.
it exactly. So with me, I was in a situation where a woman told me a man is gonna be a man, and I expect a man to be a man. You're gonna men cheat. You know what I'm saying? So she came into the situation because of her past experiences. Every man that she'd ever dealt with, maybe I guess up until that point, had cheated. And so she's like, I expect you to be a man. Men cheat. You know what I'm saying? All I ask is that you be respectful and that you protect yourself and that I'm not out here looking crazy. I don't have to see or hear anything about the shit,
Mm.
which was kind of like a pass or a license to cheat in a sense. But ironically, I cheated less in a situation like that
Hmm.
because it kind of took the thrill out of it, I guess. I don't
Right.
know.
It took the thrill because
Yeah.
you know what you said it right. It took the thrill out of it
Yeah.
because honestly, that is also attached to that. Like some people do it. Some people do it because it's just like it's like a sport. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? It's like it's a
Yeah.
thrill. But when you go into a situation like that, it's like where is the thrill? She already know what the fuck I'm gonna be doing if I'm out
Yeah.
there doing whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? I don't agree with that statement though. I don't let me not say I don't agree with it, but I just don't think it's cool. Because
To
if a woman were to say that to you, like she's in a relationship and it's like, listen, I'm a woman, but you know, I may cheat on you from time to time. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we're not going past that point. It's a
but
wrap
you
right there.
see, but you
Yeah.
see, right? You see what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? It's like, what if that were the case? And there goes that big old double standard. Because it's like, what if a woman entered a relationship like that? Like, look, I love you, you know, we've been together for whatever, or we just starting, and it's like, hey, I may cheat from time to time. That's the kind of
Hmm.
shit I'm on. You're
Yeah.
gonna be looking at me like exactly what you just said. No, we're gonna stop this right here. We ain't going no
Yeah.
further.
Yeah. So, but see, I've been in situations too where like I used to have this thing for like a season in my life where I dated I don't even know what you would call it. I was fooling around with married women, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's
That was
weird
my
how you
choice.
yeah. Like, I met the young lady. I was attracted to her. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, but she's like, I'm married, but she's still like giving me the vibes.
Feeling you.
So
Right.
I'm like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's weird because in those situations, it wasn't the same. I never got jealous because you were at home with your husband or
Mm.
because, I know you sleep with like it was never, I never felt anything about that. But let it be a different chick that's just a random regular chick that's a single girl and me and her getting it in and then she might have another dude somewhere else and I know about it. I still would feel some kind of way because, and in my mind, I'm like, that's nasty. But no, I'm serious, right? But isn't it nasty if I'm over here doing other shit too?
Right. Why is that not nasty? But
Exactly.
and that's the shit. It's like,
Yeah.
I think on both ends, like, listen, everybody does what they do. Like you said, we human and it happens. But it's
Yeah.
like some people, and I say people because I'm speaking in women and men in general, it's like they plan to do that shit. You know what I mean? Some people like being in relationships. They like fucking married people. That's another thing. That's another topic for another day. But they aren't like I've spoken to people that is something that they just do. Like they're
Yeah.
married or they just have sex with married men.
Yeah.
But the women that do that, their reasoning is that they don't want any commitment. They want the financial support,
Yeah.
but they don't want to be connected to anyone. He goes home to his wife, but he comes and he brings me Gucci and gold.
But see, so here's kind of where my mind can't wrap around that concept completely. Because you're telling me you prefer a married man who has a wife, right? Who he has to, if he's like the primary breadwinner take care of, a family that he has to take care of. So that's less he can do for you, in my opinion, right? Unless he's just like a wealthy guy
Right.
over a
A
single
baller.
guy,
Right.
right? Who doesn't have a family to care for, right? Who
Right.
wants the same thing.
Right.
I don't want nothing. I don't want anything serious. I want to sleep with you. I want to hang out with you. I can give you some gifts. I can do whatever, but I don't want anything serious. You won't do that with him, but you'll do it with the married guy.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. People are just fucking crazy.
I I, I have a theory, but I wanna say this though. One of those married women, she was dealing with me, and then when I met someone and I started seeing somebody, she was like, "Yeah, you can't do that."
Oh,
Yeah,
that was good for the geese.
that really happened. I'm like, "You got a whole husband at the house, like for real? You gonna trip on me about dating?" And she was like, "Yeah, if you're gonna do that, we gotta be done." And then it was just done because I was like, "Yeah, nah."
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that that's just like too many, especially she's having sex with her husband, she's having sex with you, you
And
having
God
sex with
knows who
somebody else.
else.
It's just too
Yeah. In reality, and God knows who else.
right. In reality, it's just too much sex being thrown around.
Yeah.
But so maybe that was kind of her take on it. Like, hey, like I'm having sex with my husband and I'm having sex with you, but why you got to be having sex with somebody else? That's just too much added in the mix.
And I get it. But, to me, that was still a double standard. Like you can have
Agreed.
two options. I'm only supposed to have one. So I'm supposed to be faithful to you and you're married. Like I didn't get that.
When you say it like that, it makes no sense. I'm supposed
No
to be
sense.
faithful to you, but you have a whole husband
Yeah.
that you are supposed to honor and all that shit.
Yeah.
Um, listen, we marriage, especially like way back when, at least how I grew up, we get married and that was really like a thing. Sometimes I still speak to my father. My mother and my father are divorced. But he's like, in the eyes of God, I'm still married to your mother. And I love him. My father's 80 years old. Shout out to my dad. But um, I'm like, you guys are divorced.
Mm. I feel him though. I feel him
like
though.
like you're not married, but he's very Catholic.
I feel him
And
because I
he
told
believes
you.
like he
Yeah.
took that vow, till death do us part. He was like, so
Yeah.
technically I'm still married until me or your mother, leave this earth.
Yeah. I
You're
feel
saying
him
you feel him. Why?
because I have that same mindset, that because I
Okay.
of my upbringing and my belief system. So I've been married 3 times, so I guess I got 3 wives, but uh
3 is a charm.
three is I guess. But
Are you still married now?
huh?
Are you still married now?
I'm married, I'm divorced, I'm dating, I'm looking, all that.
Okay, it's complicated. We're gonna check off that complicated box. It happens. It's all good. Listen.
No, but seriously, my first divorce, it bothered me really, really badly. And
Mhm.
the only thing that gave me peace was the fact that I came to the realization that you can't force someone to because I didn't feel like I felt like I was free to go and sleep with somebody, but I didn't feel like I was actually free to be free, right? And
Right.
then once I realized, like, from the scriptures, it basically says if they don't want to be with you anymore, then you're no longer bound to that contract, so to speak. But if you look at the technicality of it, like what marriage really was during that time and how it's viewed in the biblical sense, you're definitely married, and the only thing that ends that contract is death. But we live under man's law, and we do it this way, so it is what it is. Hello.
Yeah. We
you
definitely we
you froze up
definitely
on me.
I did, you did too, just in that little second. We
Yeah,
definitely not living in those times. Definitely not living in those times. I think divorce is at an all-time high.
absolutely. Yeah,
Especially like after the pandemic. People are just like, man, I ain't dealing with this shit. We about to get divorced. The
yeah.
divorce lawyers are making bank right now.
Damn.
Don't
I
nobody
hate
want to be hitched
divorce.
to nobody's wagon.
I hate divorce, which is part of the reason that I do what I do. Like I have a passion for what I'm doing because So here's the thing. I say this all the time and I post it all the time. The success or failure of a relationship or dating situation is made in the the choosing process or in the selection process, right? So a lot of times, we'll get with somebody, we see all the red flags, we say fuck it, we're gonna work through them, right?
Mhm.
And
Don't
then
worry.
you hang in there as long as you can, but eventually it doesn't work. So
Right.
why not, when you're vetting them and you see the things that you don't like, just cut your losses and move on. Like that's you have to know how to select the right person for you. Going back to attachment theory, that's kind of what that teaches. It teaches you how to identify what attachment type you are, how to identify it in others, and to know what'll be the best match for you. You give yourself a better option of success in a relationship by doing that. But I think we are so caught up on things like, what's their financial status, how fat is her booty, and all of this goofy shit that we overlook the important stuff.
Right. I think so. I love that. I really love that. And I'm like, for me, so let me just say this. My personality is I'm a nurturer. I'm a
Okay.
nurturer, I'm a changer. I give people benefits of the doubt like a
Mm,
motherfucker.
yeah.
Like, and I always feel like, if you keep giving, if you keep doing, if you do better, this person will do better. If sometimes people make mistakes
Yeah.
or, they will change. As I got older though, it's like, no, mm-mm.
Yeah.
People at their core are who they are.
Exactly.
There's certain things that you may want to change a bit, but at your core, you are who you are.
Hmm.
So, just like you said, cut them off in the beginning. But sometimes it's like, man, I really like him. Like, he's
Yeah.
really cute. Or I can overlook that, he
But
slapped the shit
so
out of some girl at the club. I mean, I don't know.
so what I say is this right here. I recently had someone I was talking to say, tell me something that they were doing that they were ashamed, not that they said was terrible, right? So my thing was, is it terrible if it's something that you want to do? You know what I'm saying? Or is
Hmm.
it terrible because of your fear of being judged for it? Right.
Right.
So this is what I tell people. People say, well, it's wrong to be in a relationship where the guy is sleeping with somebody else. Not if you're cool with it. Not if that's your agreement.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard of a situation where this guy's married to this woman and he allows her to be a sugar baby for this other dude so that he can take care of the two of them. If you like it, I love it, man. I'm not here to judge.
And that's a fact. And if it works for you, it works for you. And
Exactly.
but that's another thing too, is like, I think that culturally, that's really shit like that is like not, it's looked down upon.
It
Like,
is.
especially like in my family, like both of my parents are Catholic, I grew up in a Catholic home, and it's just like, it's just certain things you have to do. Like, you're in a marriage, you have to be this way. And it's
Right.
just like, if it works for you though, it works for you.
Yeah.
Different
That's it.
strokes, different folks. I mean, but we just so judgy.
Very judgy. Very judgy. And the part of the reason that people are so judgy is because we don't have our own business and we don't have our own shit going on and we're not happy within ourselves. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, when I found true happiness within my own life, I didn't really give a shit what was going on with anybody else's.
There you go. There you go. And I feel you on that, because I used to be the same way. Like, I used to be very judgy,
Mhm.
and people would tell me things, and it's just like, oh, like, you doing that. But now it's like, at where I'm at in my life, it's like, listen, like you said, if you like it, I love it. You about to be somebody's sugar baby? Hey, let's see the gifts. Bring them
Exactly.
on,
Bring
because
them
that's your
on.
business. You
Yeah,
know what I
for real.
mean? But everyone has different point of views on different shit, and that's just the world we living in,
It
unfortunately.
is. It is. I don't know. I think the doubles see, here's the thing about double standards. They don't just pop up one day. They're there from the beginning in most cases, but we
Mhm.
ignore them or we accept them. And then like sometimes because people, they'll try to hide certain shit, but it always, if you pay close attention, it always rears its ugly head.
Mhm.
But it's like, well, I can call you and page you, not page you, damn. I can,
You just said your age. You
yeah,
just said your
exactly,
age.
exactly. But it's like I can call you and text you and do all this other shit. You know what I'm saying? FaceTime you and
Right.
DM you and email you all day long. But you do it three, 4 times. I'm like, yo, what you doing? Like, calm
Right.
that down. You doing too much.
Right.
But then, a lot of people are like, sometimes we're so excited about the person. We're so happy to be with the person. We're so desperate to stop being alone.
Desperation. That should make you do crazy
It,
things.
it really will. And then, but here's the thing, people don't choose to acknowledge it as desperation. And they say things like, I'm really into him. I never met anybody like him before. When the fact of the matter is, you're tired of sleeping by yourself. You're tired of not going on dates. You're
Right.
tired of your friends talking about Jimmy, Terry, and Ronnie, and you have nothing going on. So
Yeah.
you settle to a degree for this narcissistic asshole that's gonna treat you like shit down the road.
Yeah. But we ain't doing that no more. Not in 2022. Not in 2022. We're not doing that no more, ladies
No
and
more.
gents.
Yeah, men too. Cause shit, I know a lot of guys, man. Like, listen, guys, I feel like it's being there's like it's switching. Like guys are becoming more like the women, and the women are becoming more like the guys. But that's a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation.
Yeah. That's gonna be on. We gonna get together again. So Jay, thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell the people where they can find you.
Okay, so yeah, you can find me on Instagram at the Cognac Room Podcast. Me and my two lovely co-hosts, Lyric Marie and Petra, and you can find us on Facebook at the Cognac Room Podcast. Of course, we're on all platforms, and we also have a television podcast that comes on Diva Speaks Relationships on Roku. It's a network, and it also comes on Grind City TV, which is another Roku network. So Thursdays and Fridays at 9 and 8 p.m.
Love it. Go check out Jay on his shit, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Appreciate your input. Have a good night.
Good night.